Hello YouTube. So this is Steven, Indie Guitarist 85 here. I wanted to do like just a quick video and kind of talking about nostalgia, and especially in music. Now, one of my favorite genres of music was Visual K, and I like the older Visual K. The current VK scene I don't even keep up with, honestly. But you know, I've kind of had taken a break. I've decided I just wanted to stop listening to it completely, and I did for a little while. And then certain songs, you know, pop into my head, and then I would want to listen to it again, and I'll be like, man, you know, I finally figured something out about the VK genre. The thing of it is like just right when a band gets really, really good, you know, when a band releases a great album or a breakthrough album or an album that impacts you and you're super excited for that band to continue on to whatever's next, you're like, okay, how can I hear more material, you know, from this particular band? And then they just disband and drop everything completely. You know, it kind of bums you out. And I think that genre of music, it's like it's great. It's like a high. It's like it's great for the moment, but then it bums you out in the end because there's nothing left. And I honestly think, like, even some of my other favorite bands that I was a fan of, that I'm a fan of that are still around, you know, they're making music, but it's just terrible. It's shitty. It's not good music. It's not anything that's worth listening to. It's, you know, from their last, as opposed to whatever they released from their last material. Like, honest to God, you know, Larkin Sael hasn't released a good album since 2007. That's when they released a decent album last time. That's like, what, 10 plus years ago? Like, what, 11, 12 years ago? Shoot. You know? Lunacy just released, they released The Love. I think they released it last year. And I listened to it, and I'm like, God, this is just utter garbage. They could have done so much better, and I had such high hopes and expectations. And I think that's what happens is when you're a diehard fan of music, as well as you being a musician, you expect high quality content from these musicians, like a high quality in terms of songwriting and melodic structure and time structure and the way it's produced, the way an album's produced, and the way an album is constructed, or the way a single is constructed. I mean, that's why I think, you know, if I do listen to Visual K, it's been from, you know, from the 90s or the late 80s, from when it started until 2003. You know, I guess that's the cutoff. So there was some joke that we made, not even a joke, but a post that I had made in the JREC NYC forum on Facebook, because I've been a huge fan of Gordon, of J-Rock NYC for a very long time. I remembered when I was about, I'd say, 16, 17 years old, maybe even 15, maybe even younger, 14, 15. You know, I remember going to his site and reading his blog posts. A friend of mine had told me about him and mentioned him to me, and he said, "Yeah, you should check this dude out, his blog." And that's before social media became such a big thing, and that was in the early days. But yeah, he he introduced me to, just, he had some really good reviews, and my friend Paul, he introduced me to a lot of good bands as well, other than Visual K and J-Rock, but as well as I did with him. But that's the thing. And then you have a band, like, take for example, there's this band called Blue, and they have released several albums in the 90s, and I think they went for multiple singers, kind of like Malice Mizer did. And I've been listening to one of their albums, and it's called Since, and I think it's like, the album was released in 1998, so it's about 20 years ago. And God, that album is so fucking phenomenal. I mean, still to this day, it sounds great. It's a fantastic record from top to bottom. The way it's constructed, the way the melodies are played out, the way the tracks are laid out, everything about that album is just, it's on point. That's what I expect out of a band. That's kind of the caliber. And then, they had released some later material, which was pretty decent, but sometimes you have these bands that will just maybe put all of their effort into this one album, and it's a masterpiece, and then the next album, several albums that you hear from them are not so great. I mean, and then after that, they disbanded, and all the members of that band have faded off into obscurity. I know that the drummer has been playing drums for Moi de Moi, and but yeah, it just pisses me off. I'm just going on a rant, and plus I think Japan, in terms of their music industry, they're still stuck in the 90s, the way they release music. No band hardly releases albums, digitally, in digital formats. There's a lot of them that do, a lot of crossover acts do, a lot of crossover bands that have played over here, overseas, do, like bands like Boris. It's another really good Japanese band. Bands like that, they release their material through iTunes here or whatnot. But here, I think in the States, it's totally different. It's a different record industry. Our record industry has pretty much faded away completely. It's like, it's non-existent. And I feel like even music today has just gone to complete shit. It's not good. It's not good at all. It's terrible. It's fucking garbage. And I think it's just also part of our generation. There's different tastes. People have different tastes. I know rap is very huge right now. Hip-hop is huge. R&B is huge. I don't really hear that many great rock bands out there anymore either. Now I'm just going off into my own tangent of music. And I think the problem is, like, I think is like the East sees how the West is doing with their industry, because that's their main basis. Like Japan kind of all, bases off their music industry sort of like Britain or the States does, because there's, we have a lot of the States' major labels like Warner Music, Universal Music, Sony. Sony is their own. Sony in Japan is its own entity in itself, because that's where they were created. So, but you have other labels such as Warner Music and I think Warner and Universal. Those are the only two, because BMG, got bought out. BMG and EMI. EMI is now under Universal. BMG got bought out. But I'm just rambling. I mean, it's the decline of the music industry. Music is declining, so the industry falls with it. I mean, sure, you have a lot of pop artists now. I think that's the only thing that is keeping music going is, I guess, pop music and this rap, hip-hop stuff or whatever, which is not really my cup of tea, honestly, to be honest with you. And I don't care for it. I don't even care for R&B either that much, except for Hall & Oates. That's about it. But yeah, this is my rant. Why can't bands just, be good, like structurally sound, and be melodic and diverse, and be open to creativity, and instead of being locked down? Why are all these mediocre bands, like a lot of mediocre bands, just like succeeding in the music business, and all the bands that are actually really good and really talented, not really getting noticed? And this goes for Japan, and this goes for everywhere. I mean, I know that there's good music that's out there if you can find it. We have Spotify, we have all this technology at our disposal. We have Spotify, we have, you have Apple Music, Google Music, Amazon Music, everything. I mean, everything. And, you would think that there would be some, I mean, there is good music that's being put out there. I think there is good rock and roll that's also being released. But it's like you have to dig deeper to find it, because rock music is not the mainstream anymore. Pop is. Pop music is. Rap music is. Hip-hop music is. It's dominating the scene. Hopefully, I hope to God that it changes. I hope rock comes back with a vengeance and kicks some ass. But that's just my opinion. Nothing against rap or rap artists in general, or rap music. But, I just believe that music is declining. It's at a declining rate. That's why I constantly go back and listen to older bands and older artists, and discovering older artists and older material from way back when. A lot of these bands are not even around anymore. But I still like the sound. I think it's not only it's nostalgic. It's not really more so a nostalgic factor. Part of it is, but for the most part, is there isn't anything good that's out there. Any good music that's new that's being released that people can get into, that I could get into, you know. But maybe, you know, I try to change. I want to be open and diverse, and I try to be open in my tastes and listen to what's out there. But at the same time, it's just like it's boring. A lot of the stuff that's being released now is completely boring. It's not consistent. It's just garbage. You know, come on. We need to just make good music. And plus, we're at this point in the time that an age that our society is living in, and we have all this material, we have all this gear, we have all these great guitars and all these guitar manufacturers coming up, all these pedal manufacturers. Digital music is the big thing, electronic music. It's like, why can't we just create good music, listenable music, tasteful music? You know, there hasn't been a song out there, a current song that's out there that's maybe played either on the radio, but then again, I don't even listen to radio anymore, that has touched me, that's actually given me chills, that I thought, man, this is good stuff. You know, except for, you know, John Mark McMillan. You know, a lot of his music I absolutely love, because, I mean, he's a Christian artist, but he speaks from a human perspective. And, yeah. Anyways, that is my rant. Thank you all for tuning in. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe if you want to. Be nasty if you want to. I don't care. But thanks, guys. Cheers. See ya.